Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
You were a pumpkin.
I was a pumpkin, a big orange pumpkin.
A big orange pumpkin. And were there a lot of children out there?
Not so much.
No? Did you get a lot of candy?
Yeah, I got a lot of candy. Mommy's eating all the chocolate bars.
Well, tell Mommy that's your candy, honey.
Okay.
Tell her.
Stop eating all my chocolate bars, Mommy! Daddy's sick!
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X-Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the Halloween edition of the X-Zone. My name is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in haunted Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to check us out online, our social media sites are X-Zone Radio TV, email studio@X-Zone Radio TV, and our website, xzoneradiotv.com. Since this is Halloween, I thought we'd ask a few of our friends and neighbors, and no relatives, because that would just ruin the show, to kind of talk to us about Halloween as they see it. Now, in the first hour, we had Dr. Gibbs talking to us about the psychology of Halloween. And this hour, I thought I'd bring on another host of the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Gwilda Wiyaka, who is the host of The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, who is a shaman. And first of all, Gwilda, welcome back to the show. Always great talking to you. And what did little Gwilda do as a little girl when it came to Halloween?
Well, we used to have to drive into town to go trick-or-treating because we lived out in the country when I was real small. I was with my dad and my stepmom, and we'd get all dressed up and gosh knows what. And they'd drive us door to door for a little bit, and we'd get our candy, and then we'd get a sugar high, and there you had it.
That was it?
That was about it, yeah.
You mean when you were at school, they didn't have a Halloween party? They didn't decorate the schoolroom with Halloween stuff?
Oh, no, they did. They put up pumpkins, and we got to cut them out and all that fun stuff out of the colored paper. Yeah.
All right. That's more like it. That's
yeah.
more like it. So tell me, being a shaman and having the ability to actually work on both sides of the realm. What does Halloween mean to you? And is Halloween anything when it comes to the shamans?
Yes, it actually is. Because we're very earth-based, we follow the seasons, and we do in season what that season supports. We can also go transtemporal and shift the energy of the seasons, but that's another whole bag of worms, if you will. But what we have coming up in the Celtic tradition is the season of Samhain, and that's pronounced Samhain, but it's spelled Sam Hain, so people misunderstand it sometimes. And it marks the end of the growing season. And it's the celebration is when All's Hallows Eve, the October 31st. But the season itself lasts all the way through January 31st, starts at November 1. And what it was about was, yes, of course, celebrating the harvest, but it's also considered to be the death time of year. In some traditions, they would actually, the medicine people would carry the spirit of the dead to be released at that time, regardless of when they died during the year. It's also the time when the veils are the thinnest and we can see into spirit world more easily. So it's got a lot of tradition behind it and a lot of things we do during that time that are supported.
So where did some of the traditions come from? For example, the pumpkin. Was this instituted by the Celts?
Now I'm not sure. I should have researched that for you. But I do know, of course, it's harvested at that time. It's pretty traditional that the first freeze comes right about now. And then all of a sudden these beautiful fields full of pumpkins appear out from underneath the wilted foliage.
And of course, everybody knows that the great pumpkin rises from the pumpkin patch Halloween night, and especially Charlie Brown, because or is it Peanuts that is looking for the great pumpkin?
I'm not sure.
All right, you and I have to take our first break. We'll be back shortly. Exo Nation. Gwilda Wiyaka is our special guest. She is the host of The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka. That is heard daily. That's right, 7 days a week. Different time slots, so each and every one of you around the world can have the opportunity of listening into Gwilda. To find out when she is on that best suits your schedule, visit www.xzbn.net. That's www.xzbn.net. And we'll both be back on the other side of this commercial break as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
This is Johanna Carroll, host of Dialogue with Divinity on the X Zone Broadcast Network. While walking along Kaanapali Beach in Maui this past year, I kept discovering all these shells and coral in the shape of hearts. My dialogue with Divinity was very simple. Do you want me to do a retreat to heal people's hearts in Maui next year? And of course, the answer was yes. As a master spiritual teacher, I am offering you a neat retreat called Rise, May 8th through the 12th, 2017, and the chance of a lifetime to rest at a 5-star resort for 5 days and experience a spiritual renewal of your heart and soul. Kaanapali is one of the top 5 beaches in the world. This stunning resort has undergone a $40 million renovation. I walked the entire property, checked out the room choices on your behalf, and I must say it is stunning. Our conference room faces the ocean with sliding glass doors. Maui is known as Mother Maui because it is a soft, gentle, healing energy. In the embrace of Mother Maui, you will feel yourself rising from the limitations of an ordinary life to an extraordinary journey of peace, bliss, and harmony. A greater sense of clarity. Our Rise retreat ignites renewal in the sacred elements of air, water, earth, fire, and wind. There's plenty of free time to enjoy all that Maui has to offer. A small deposit is required now to reserve your space as this retreat, it will sell out. For more details, please go to johannacarroll.com and register today. Aloha, and I'll see you in mystical Maui.
Gibbs A. Williams, PhD, is a practicing psychoanalyst, supervisor, researcher, and author in New York City. Much of his life has been dedicated to understanding nature and the uses of meaningful coincidences or synchronicities. His radical and original non-Jungian, non-mystical, non-magical theory of synchronicities illuminates much of the fog surrounding this challenging and perplexing topic. His ideas and manners are fresh, presented in a style that is both entertaining and highly informative. He is also an expert on crisis intervention specially focused on violence reduction for the police and citizens, mastering anxiety, frustration, and stress without the use of medication, and effectively preventing and treating heroin addiction. Dr. Williams can be contacted at his email address at gwwilliamsny11@aol.com or visit his website at www.drgibbswilliams.com.
Welcome back, everyone. Halloween. I'm confident that Halloween is funded by the American and the Canadian dental societies. Dentists all over Canada and the United States walk around with smiles on their faces for months after Halloween. Mom and dads use scrapers to get the kids off the ceiling Halloween night. And then it's over. Just like Christmas, the great climax, and it's over. The anticipation, it's over. Life is just one anticipation, and then you're dead. I guess you're here for a good time, not for a long time. No, that's how I see it anyway. But how do shamans see it? How do people who have actually passed and are on the other side, how do they see it? Well, I've asked Gwilda Wiyaka to join us. She is a shaman. She is also the host of the Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka. Her website is www.thescienceofmagic.net. And Gwilda, what's it like when you, being a person, a living person, communicate with the dead? Do you actually have to leave your body to do this? Do you have to enter a different dimension, a different reality to do this?
Well, it depends on where they are. So I can communicate with the dying. I help people cross, and I'll be at the deathbed. And then it's kind of an in and out thing. So sometimes I'm talking to them in their body, and sometimes I'm talking to their disembodied spirit in the room. But other people that have already crossed over, if I'm going to go visit with them on behalf of someone, then I kind of need to leave my body and go to the other side, if you will, which is a metaphor for shifting frequencies, basically. I just shift my brainwave state, shift frequencies so that I can perceive the higher frequencies where they reside, or at least their imprint resides is more like it.
So when you're helping somebody cross, what is your function?
Well, it's different with each person. If like with my mother, I was right there. She wanted me to be there, but towards the end, she knew where she was going. I just, was there. Other people, they're going through a lot of fear and anxiety. Maybe they haven't lived a good enough life. Maybe they're going to the other direction. Or maybe the ones that actually suffer the worst are the ones that don't believe in a hereafter. That there is no God, and it's just going to be the end of them. And, this is hard to watch them go through the process because they fight it because they're afraid. And if I can just sit there and hold their hand and say, hey, let's go take a peek at the light. And if you don't think it exists, or if you don't like it, I can bring you right back here and we can continue. And once I get them close enough to whatever that actually is the light, then the fear goes away and they're ready to go. Whether they're ready to go right then or not, they are ready to go when it's their gateway, when it opens. I did that just for a lady recently. I, took her to the other side, close to the other side. She could see her husband that had passed there. And I said, okay, do you want to go back? And she said, yes, I have to say goodbye to my family, but I know my way now. Thank you. So it's always different, just as individual as we are.
Why did you want to become a shaman?
Well, I never really did.
Oh.
I just kind of came wired different, and this was the way I was trained to manage it, actually, early on by my first teacher, who was a Lakota shaman and medicine man, and he kindly taught me, and it probably saved my life. And then I just kept studying it, and I found the value of it now is unbelievable, because we're going through drastic changes, and we need to be able to negotiate them. And shamanic practice is a really good way of doing divination, helping dead cross, figuring out the frequencies that are changing on the planet, how people can evolve with them. It's an ancient practice, but it's been around for 50, 60,000 years. There's a reason for that.
So who discovered shamanism? How was it discovered, and how is it passed down from generation to generation to generation?
As far as discovery goes, boy, I really have no idea. I do know that it's an organized set of rituals designed to help the practitioner focus their ability to manage matter at the quantum level. So shaman are frequency masters. It's really our birthright. Some of us are just better at it than others. It's just they're more wired that way. Some people are better broadcasters. Some people are better doctors. It's like that. But the tradition itself, the rituals themselves, like I said, they're over 60,000 years old. And so, there's some evidence that they're that old. So, of course, origins have no idea. But it is based in nature. Now, that's nature on the earth as well as nature intergalactically. And the way life works. What shamans do is access the way life works and figure out how to cooperate with it.
So how would knowing the shamanistic rituals or the shamanistic way help a person in their day-to-day life?
Boy, let me count the ways. If you can master the shamanic journey, you can get a feel for what's on the horizon energetically, what's coming up, what are the currents that we have to dance, and then choose how to dance those. So it makes us very proactive rather than reactive. It also reconnects us with we can use it to reconnect with the planet and with life, which extends our longevity. It helps our health. It helps our awareness and peace of mind. That's just for the average person, just learning a simple skill of journeying, and I can teach somebody that in a day.
So what would you teach the person?
As far as journeying goes, how to enter the shamanic journey trance, because it's simply an organized set of rituals that helps you shift your brain waves. First, you drop it into you drop your alpha brain waves to 7.5 hertz, that of the planet, and then you can slide into theta, which is that really deep dream state. And then what happens is, because we're alert while we're doing this, we're able to read the theta, things that are going on energetically rather than things physically in ordinary reality. Then that's painted on the imagination as an interactive dream. All we have to do is learn how to interpret that dream, and we get information we wouldn't otherwise have access to. And that's what I teach them, is how to do all that.
Now, you have a school that you teach shamanic practices and other, what could we call them? Other, help me out here, kid.
Other woo-woos, right?
Well,
no, shamanic practices and personal growth and development tools. Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the courses that you offer.
Well, that's actually in the process of changing right now. Well, I am a state-certified occupational school of the shamanic arts, and I teach in 4 blocks of study, which gives the entire certification. It used to be a 2-year program, but now I've broken it up so people can travel to retreats and get the shamanic certification. But I'm just about to implement either webinars or online classes that are for the average person for personal growth and development to empower their lives through shamanism. And it's, like we said, it's very practical, it's very down to earth, and it's life-changing. So I just feel that that's what the next step is for a lot of people. So I'm going to try to put those together next.
So if somebody, how would somebody know that they're getting the call to look into shamanism?
Well, there's a lot of different forms. Shamanism isn't the only one. I think the needs of the many are driving a lot of shamanic based practices to be born, and we think they're New Age practices. Everything from EMDR to, Reiki are really shamanic based. So you don't have to necessarily be called into shamanism. Shamanism is a extremely, if you really go into it to become a true practitioner or approaching being a shaman, if you will, it's as every bit as complex, if not more, than being a medical doctor. And not everybody is called to that, but most people can benefit from learning the skills so that they can be co-creators in their lives rather than just along for the ride.
You said that shamanism or learning shamanism, and you equated that to a medical doctor?
It's that complicated, and that's what kind of scares me about people taking a weekend course and hanging out their shingle and working on other people.
Doesn't that put them in the category of a quackpot?
Yeah, exactly. A quackman.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, we do everything from medical intuitive to helping the dead to cross to psychic surgery. I mean, if you really get into it, it's very intense and very complicated. You don't have as much opportunity to do harm as the medical practice, but there certainly is. A good shaman gone bad is nothing nice.
I would imagine there's also the risk of people who do not take it seriously enough of doing some very serious psychological damage to people that go to them for help.
Absolutely. And this is also the complaint I have about untrained psychics, is they all of a sudden might slide into being thinking like the counseling role without the training. And you need to have the training. There's something about what people consider magical practices right now that have a lot of influence on people. They think because you say it and you're able to kind of see through the glass darkly and perceive something they can't, that it goes into this, all of a sudden you are the authority. And boy, that's not a good place to be, because people are handing over their power. And what if this person isn't even trained?
So how does somebody who's looking for a shaman know who a legitimate shaman is and who a quackman is?
Yeah, this is a difficult subject. For one, where did they train? Who did they train with? What are their principles? What do people say about them is really important. That's the way people used to find people, is what are the people saying? But in this day and age, again, a person can have great training and not really have the aptitude. It's just like being a doctor. There's great ones and there's ones that kind of limp along.
Yeah, but you see, a doctor is licensed. There's a governing board.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to shamans, it's a free-for-all. You just open yourself a website and you go online, you get yourself a PayPal account, and you start charging people online. So how does a person know, based on that, who is legitimate and who's not?
Right. It's a tough one out there, and buyer beware. Like I said, that's why I started a certified occupational school of shamanic arts. You can't believe the hoops that I have to jump through to prove that I was qualified to teach or be the director. And all my instructors have to go through similar hoops. So hopefully we can get it to where this is a recognized and somewhat regulated practice so that people can tell what kind of education they've had. In the interim, you really have to research and see what kind of training they had. They should have on their website what their credentials are, and then you can, for the most part, follow them down. Michael Harner has a pretty good group if they've trained with Harner, but you don't know how long. So were they certified with him, or did they just train with him? That's the thing to look at.
And what criteria does he use in order to certify someone?
Well, to certify means that you've successfully gone through, even with my school, it means that you have successfully met the requirements of the school.
Right.
And that's all written down. All my classes are documented and on file with the state. Now, Michael doesn't have a certified trade school as far as I know, but he was an anthropologist, and he created this form of shamanism by collecting all these different shamanic practices and then holding only what they had in common. So it's really a ritual-based practice, which is a little different than what I teach, although mine's ritual-based. But the man was an anthropologist. He was a college prof. He's a scientist, and he did a really good job. And he's just was really strict about making sure his instructors taught exactly what he had created through the core practice.
No disrespect to him, but just because you're an anthropologist doesn't mean you can be a brain surgeon.
Right, for sure.
You know?
For sure. But he did study a lot of different practices and then hold what they all had in common, which is usually a pretty good way to look at things. If there's something that you see all over the world that's been around for 40,000 years, you can lift your eyebrow and you can say, what do these have in common? And maybe there's something real here. And that was the premise that he went on.
Gwilda Wiyaka is our guest. www.thescienceofmagic.net. And if you'd like to find out when Gwilda is on the X Zone Broadcast Network, just go to our website, www.xzbn.net. And Gwilda and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue talking about shamanism here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Wouldn't you love to know the secret to everything? Well then, meet Dr. Kimberly McGeorge and her cutting-edge breakthrough knowledge that combines science with possibility. Dr. Kimberly brings real-life answers and healing to those open to alternative solutions. She teaches solution-based programs and classes that will change all areas of your life forever. Specializing in conscious creation, intuitive readings, and energy medicine, you can rapidly shift health, relationships, business, and money and abundance challenges quickly. Receive her best-selling book, Secret to Everything, at no cost by going to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone. That's right. Transformation can start now. Just go to secrettoeverything.com/X-Zone and receive Dr. Kimberly's book for free.
While science pursues fact, magic accesses the quantum level, bridging random facts to form truth. As long as science and magic remain separate and polarized, the truth cannot be known. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka. Join me on the Science of Magic radio program, dedicated to unification and evolution of consciousness. During each episode, I'll be speaking with experienced and respected scientists and mystics. From astrologers to astronomers, from medical doctors to shaman, the scientific method to dowsing and intuition, we'll weave together information from seemingly divergent practices to promote unity and enlightenment. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic right here on the Mutual Broadcast Network. For more information, visit www.thescienceofmagic.net.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.thescienceofmagic.net. holisticcancerfoundation.com.
This is Kevin Randall. For nearly 30 years, I have been investigating the case of the Roswell UFO. I have interviewed hundreds of people and stood on the crash site. Now in Roswell in the 21st century, I have reviewed dozens of hours of audio and videotaped interviews, examined hundreds of files that relate to the crash, and have returned to Roswell in an attempt to put all that information into the proper perspective. For the first time in Roswell in the 21st century, I have made a dispassionate reevaluation of all that material and provide a new look at what happened. This is a book that clears away all the clutter that has hidden the truth for so long, strips away the various lies that surround the case, exposes the Air Force attempts at cover-up, and found a core of solid information that tells us all where the case stands today. Roswell in the 21st century will be available in just a few weeks. For more information, please visit my website at www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com.
Gwilda Wiyaka is our guest. We're talking about shamanism. We're talking about rituals. We're talking about Halloween. We're talking about smelling insects as they come across in a massive cloud. That's right. So tell me, Gwilda, when did you first start smelling locusts?
Well, the first time I smelled locusts, I was 7 years old, and I was living in Saudi Arabia. And there was never any clouds in the sky there. And all of a sudden, there was this big black cloud in the sky. And all of a sudden, I smelled this horrible insecty smell. And then you hear them. And they come and they cover absolutely everything. And in about 20 minutes, they leave, and there's nothing green left in sight.
Wow. Leave it to us to find somebody who can smell insects. This is a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, and Gwilda Wiyaka is my guest. You talked about rituals, shamanistic rituals. Can you share a couple with us?
Sure. There's one that's performed around Halloween. And actually, this one was unearthed by a friend of mine, one of my Celtic teachers, Tom Cohen. And it's the Battle of the Evil Fomorians. Now, the Fomorians were believed to be actually ancient beasts that lived during, in ancient history. And they were thought to be, it's an Irish Celtic mythology, and they were believed to be the gods of chaos and wild nature. Okay, and so they supposedly inhabited Ireland in the ancient times and were considered a semi-divine race. But they were thought to be demonic prehistoric giants who raided and pillaged Ireland. But from there, the shamanic aspect of them is what they're believed to be is our uncompleted projects, and we all have them, that tie up our energy. And if we don't reclaim our energy out of our uncompleted projects, we don't have enough energy to manifest for the next year. And they believe that our energy being tied up and being used unconsciously like that was the cause of famine and illness, and that the tribe wouldn't prosper if this wasn't taken care of. And so it was the job of every good shaman to do the battle of the evil Fomorians every Samhain. And I've done that battle numerous times, and it was particularly interesting after 9/11 because I didn't know I was going to be taken there, and all of a sudden I was taken there. It was like, whoa. So there's something to it. I'm not sure what. But it's a wonderful time for each of us as individuals to kind of make a list. Okay, what did I decide this year that I wanted to create that I haven't created, and do I still want to do it, or do I want to intentionally pull my energy back and decide on someplace else to put my energy? But so it's a very profound concept.
What has been the strangest thing that you have encountered in your role as a shaman? Or should I say otherworldly?
The most otherworldly thing?
Yeah.
Well, without going into some of my shamanic initiations, I would have to say probably when I've been confronted with doing a depossession, because that's pretty strange. I mean, you think of the movie, what was it? The Exorcist. Yeah. It's not too far off, and that's kind of scary. But yeah, it gets pretty otherworldly. It gets very strange. People start speaking in ways that you know that A, that person couldn't do, and B, it just makes your hair rise. So those are probably the weirdest, and certainly not my favorite.
You talked about some of the rituals that you've done. What kind of rituals?
Well, my life is a ritual at this point.
Okay.
In other words, I get up in the morning, I face the east, I give gratitude for the new day, I set my intent for the day.
Right.
Midday, I stop, I look to the south, I see how I'm doing, I reestablish my intent. The west, I give gratitude for the sunset, close out my day, and then in the north, I go to sleep. So I live my whole day in these cycles as a ritual. And what it does is it empowers everything I do by keeping me in touch with the way life works, with the way the planet spins, with all that stuff. Those principles are used in just about every ceremony. And I've learned, I can't tell you how many different traditional ceremonies from how many different tribes, but what's important now is holding those tried and true rituals and principles, but creating living ritual for today. So I do ritual for people that want to get married. I can marry people, I can bury people, but I can sit down with a couple and use those principles that I know from all my studies, but design something that's specifically for them. So do they want to have a water ceremony to bind them together so that the mother and the father pours the water into the glass that the couple then drinks, one from one side of the family, one from the other. There's all sorts of different simple rituals that really empower our intent and what we're trying to do in any given circumstance. As far as rituals to raise the dead, or, you think of rituals as black cloaks and walking around in circles and incanting. No. I don't do that. Sorcery.
You don't?
Not shamanism. Sorry.
Well, is there a difference between a witch doctor and a shaman?
No, it's mostly semantics. A medicine person, a witch doctor, a shaman, they're all shamanic healers. But as far as sorcery goes, there's a very fine line between shamanism and sorcery of any kind. And I have 5 rules I drill into my students so that they keep it clean. 1, you never work without permission. 2, you do no harm. 3, you never take energy away from some place that it belongs. 4, you never put energy on some place that it doesn't belong. And 5, you always work within the laws of nature. And if you can do that, you can stay clean and you're working shamanically and you're a medicine person. If you step out of that, you're into sorcery, and sorcery works against the laws of nature, imposes energy on other people or steals energy from other people, and it has a nasty backlash. It's not something you want to do intentionally.
So do shamans use candles? Do they use gems, minerals? The other parts of the elements in your rituals?
Yes. And again, each tradition and each ritual uses different ones. But what I teach my students to do is to first they learn the shamanic journey.
Right.
And then I have these organized journeys that I send them on that help them develop their own practice. In other words, what stone works for them where for what purpose, what color works for them there for what purpose. And that's how I design my rituals for other people, is I'll journey in the moment. Okay, we're going to be doing this marriage ceremony or this funeral or this coming of age ceremony. We're going to be doing it at this place at this time. So that's taking into consideration where the stars are, what the planets are, the birth date of the people involved. And then I journey for what's to be used in the ritual. Mostly I find these things, even though they do carry energy, they do carry frequency, they do carry power, they're empowered by our intent. They just help anchor it.
So when you're planning a ritual for somebody, or a journey as you called it, how long does this journey take? And what is their end goal? And what do they learn on this journey?
Well, like I said, the journey is an interactive dream whereby we're accessing in metaphorical form.
Oh, I see. So they don't actually go on a path and go on a journey. This is an inner journey then.
It is. It's an inner and an outer journey in that you lay down, usually. I consider stand, but I've been doing it a long time. Usually listening to drums or doing something repetitive motion. And then through this ritual, you go through specific steps that help you alter your brain waves that make you more receptive to information from the esoteria or from the quantum level.
So you want to get your brainwave down to 7.5, right?
Well, that's the one very, very consistent thing that's been it's measurable. And I've had a lot of gum in my hair because the physicians I work with are fascinated by it. But I very consistently drop my brain waves to 7.5 hertz, which exactly matches that of the planet at any time. So the planet will shift a little bit wherever my brain waves go. That's where the planet is at the time. But then I slide, that's in alpha, but then I can slide into theta, which is a deeper state where I can access more information.
So at the end of the day, at the end of this journey, this inner and outer journey, what does the student walk away with? What have they learned? What have they gained? What are they able now to do that they couldn't do at the beginning of this journey?
What's really fun is that the entire school is based on first the person being able to get consistent, accurate information through their journeys. And then I've designed the classes so that here's the subject matter, here's the teaching. Now you journey to go find your way from your inner guidance. Okay, from your access to spirit. And so that starts to custom design the person's practice, whether they're learning it for personal growth and development or whether they're aiming to become a shamanic practitioner. And so it's very empowering, and you can go for a journey on anything, looking for an answer, trying to find a decision, set an intent, create a ceremony, buy a new car, choose a house. You can journey on any of that. But journey, what it does is it gives you more information upon which to base your choices. It doesn't tell you what to do. And that's the really key point, is if somebody says, oh, I'm getting this and you need to do that, you're not talking to someone that's in integrity. You need to have the information brought to you in raw form and then take it as information just like you would any other information, evidence upon which to base your personal choices.
So basically, you must retain control at all times. If somebody tries to take control from you, red flag.
Absolutely.
Is it possible that a person could follow your teachings? And I have nothing but the highest of respect for you, Gwilda. I know you well and I respect you. Is it possible that you can teach someone to the best of your ability, but this person is not welcomed by the other side, and that no matter what they try to do, it won't work?
I've actually had an experience of that. It was very, very almost frightening. This gentleman, it was in a beginning journey class, okay. Because he was a doctor, and he seemed like a nice enough guy, but he was a bit materialistic. Outside of that, I didn't have any red flags. But when he got to lower world, he said he was blinded, and I couldn't see anything, and no one would talk to me except one time. And when I asked, why can't I see anything, and why won't someone talk to me? They said, because of what you did last time you were here. And he was not granted entrance. And later in my association with him, which was fairly brief, I found that, there was more operating there than just the man. He was a case of probably needed a depossession, if you will.
Wow. Talking about depossessions, where does the evil come from that you and other exorcists, for lack of a better word, where do they come from? Why do they only infest certain people? Do certain people open up the gateway to the possession?
It can be. I mean, you've heard about Ouija boards and all this fun stuff, and that can happen. But I really believe that it's a matter of sorting frequencies. If a person in their lifetime has had so much trauma that they've fragmented out a lot of bandwidths of frequencies, nature hates a vacuum. And their other frequencies can fill that space, okay? So I don't just go about doing a depossession. Better the devil you know than the one you don't.
Right.
So what I do is I put people through a series of healings to bring back their natural frequency before I tackle that which does not belong. There's some people I know, they do depossessions, and it's a good business, because the person goes out, walks down the street, somebody else has road rage, the energy jumps on, and they have to come back to the shaman for another depossession. So, I think that people remember that principle, and to a certain degree, we're possessed, any of us, at any given time. If we have an overgrowth of candida, that's a form of possession. Possession is simply carrying a frequency that is incompatible to our nature, incompatible to that which we brought in.
So why wouldn't the shaman do something to protect this person? Put a a shield of some sort around them so they wouldn't have to be coming back to the shaman all the time?
Ignorance, for one. Ignorance. And not following due course, not shoring the person up first so they have their own natural field around them so that something can't come in before removing that which is there.
You and I have to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Exo Nation. Gwilda Wiyaka is my guest, and interesting topic. Interesting lady. Don't go away. We'll be back.
As host of Dialogue with Divinity, I am thrilled to join the X-Zone Broadcast Network and their growing number of affiliates. My quest for a connection to the divine ignited my successful career path as an international spiritual counselor for over 40 years, an author of 4 books, and well-known metaphysical educator. My clients call me their spiritual mama. So my job is to offer you a radio show to help you grow spiritually with wisdom and get specific tools from guests who are experts in their field. Tune in to Dialogue with Divinity and be part of the conversation with Spirit. My goal, your happy soul. For more information, please visit my website at johannacarroll.com.
Coming soon to the X-Zone Broadcast Network is A Different Perspective with me, Kevin Randall, as your host. We'll be taking a close look at what is happening in the world of UFOs today with side trips into the paranormal. Guests will range from those who are household names to those who have a different perspective on a variety of topics. No topic will be taboo, but there will be tough questions asked as we all search for the truth about UFOs, the paranormal, and those things that excite us. Sometimes we'll agree with a guest and sometimes we won't, but we'll try to keep the program topical. For those of you who would like to read, be sure to visit www.kevinrandall.blogspot.com and remember to listen to the other fine programs on the X-Zone Broadcast Network at www.xzbn.net.
Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Welcome back, everyone. Gwilda Wiyaka is my guest to this hour. She is the host of The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka. That is heard on the X-Zone Broadcast Network. My gosh, I can't believe over 105 shows. Congratulations, my friend.
Well, thank you. It's been fun.
I was listening to one interview that you had last week, and I think her name was Charmian Redwood.
Mm-hmm.
Something was not right with that lady.
It was an interesting interview, wasn't it? Yeah. It's like a lot of things, a lot of the things she was saying were accurate, but there was something there. I don't know what it was.
When you're talking to your guest, are you able to use your shamanic abilities to get a better sense of what they're really about?
Well, I kind of do that automatically. It's not like I pry into their business. But when a phrase or something comes at me, if it's not true, it jars me. And sometimes it jars me so badly as I feel physically ill.
Really, yeah?
And sometimes the words can be true, but there's some intent behind it or something that isn't. But for the most part, I've been very blessed with good guests.
What was one of your favorite shows?
Boy. I think my very first one.
Oh, now you're going to get me blushing.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious. What was one?
I think it really was. It was like, this can be possible, and you had faith in me, and I just had so much fun interviewing you.
Yeah, we do have fun, don't we?
Yes, we do.
We do have fun. What do listeners have to look forward in the months and years to come on the Science and Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka?
Well, there's some fun stuff coming up right away. Actually, there's this foundation that's I've been hearing about. Various guests have mentioned it kind of in passing, and they're doing some real interesting work in underserved schools. They're bringing like a holistic approach to develop the kids' inner lives through yoga, mindfulness, self-care. And I've been hunting them down, and I found Andreas Gonzalez. He's of the Holistic Life Foundation. So he's going to be on next week. I'm really excited about talking to him and seeing what they're doing in schools.
Yeah, when you said foundation, I thought you were going to bring on Hillary and Bill Clinton with the Clinton Foundation, but
no. I the exorcism. I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, that's kind of scary, I guess.
That's scary.
What can people do to improve their lives on a day-to-day basis with very limited knowledge of the shamanic way?
Oh, it's so simple. All you have to do is give gratitude for the worst things in your life. Find the silver lining and be grateful for it, and it transmutes everything. Gratitude is a huge, it's a really high frequency. It's just shy of love. And of course, loving your neighbor as yourself is hugely important as well. It doesn't mean be subject to people, because everybody has their damage and their weak spots, but just be able to love everyone and everything around you to the best of your ability. And the key to that is finding the worst enemy, the worst things, finding the gain from it, and giving gratitude.
What are some of the holidays or some of the feasts or some of the festivities that are celebrated in the shamanic way?
Well, there's, of course, the four seasons that's always looked at, whether it's the Celtic or all the shamanic practices follow the four seasons. But they vary because, down under, it's whole different seasons, whole different directions. But mostly it's earth-based. However, the stellar-based ones are the ones that do the equinoxes, the solstices, and celebrate on those times too. And that's the ancient traditional way of balancing heaven and earth, so that the people on the earth knew where they were in relationship to the stars at all times. There's this beautiful ceremony still performed in the Black Hills by the Lakota, some of the Lakota people. And there are people from each lineage, and each lineage represents a star in a star system. And there's a corresponding spot in the sacred grounds close to Devil's Tower there. And they do the walk of the pipe. They go across they do walk the sacred walk across there, and each person that stands for that particular star and that particular constellation does ceremony on the corresponding spot in the sacred ground. And that's every year they realign themselves with heaven and earth. It's a beautiful, beautiful provision, and I think it helps all of us.
Is there a vast difference between the different Native American tribes or cultures where shamanism is taught when it comes to the responsibility and the acts that each shaman does?
Yeah, even within families within the same tribe, there's way different traditions. Because this stuff's been handed down for so long, and there's a fair amount of, what shall I say, peeing on the lodgepole that goes on. People get attached to the ceremonies and argue over which ceremony is right and how to do it, when really it's about the intention and the alignment.
So tell me, Bald Eagle Feather, what are you going to do today? Oh, I'm going to go down to the lodgepole and take a pee on it. You got to be kidding! You actually go out and pee on on a tribal pole?
Well, it's the same thing as our Christian churches splitting again and splitting again and splitting again because they're arguing over who knows what.
Yeah, but I'm a Christian.
Or do you submerge?
I'm a Christian. I've never gone into the church and peed. Right, mind you, maybe this is something that shamans do.
You never know, do you?
Yeah, you never know. Since you've been practicing and since you've been teaching shamanism, has there ever been a change of ritual that has been passed down through the Grand Order of Shamans?
I'm not sure what you mean. You mean
Okay.
a ritual that was started one way and ended up another?
Or something that was thought to be an asset but was dropped because it wasn't.
Yes, but it's more like because not so much the rituals are changing, but because the times are changing. And so
Yeah.
what was appropriate at a different frequency, because it's all about frequency, where we are in the galaxy is all about frequency and what we're being bathed with, the relative positioning and all that stuff. So there's some shamanic practices that aren't real appropriate to this time. Also, there's the cultural issue. Okay, so my my Tibetan shamanism teacher told me in order to do an extraction, I needed to first go hide and swallow a bowl of worms. And I said, "Oh, you say what?" And he says, "Well, yeah." He says, and I said, "Why?" And he says, "So you can throw them back up in front of the client." I went, "Oh, well, that's lovely. Why?" He says, "So you can show that you've actually extracted something." I said, "Well, it's energetic what I'm extracting." He said, "Yes, but they need to have physical proof." Well, that's where shamanism got a lot of its reputation of sleight of hand, and my clients would rather have me explain what I'm doing at the quantum level than barf up worms. So there's an example of a ceremony that doesn't necessarily serve the times.
Where do you see shamanism in the future? Do you think that more and more people are going to be looking at the old ways, including shamanism, to finally get us back on the right path?
I absolutely believe so because, we have made these wonderful advancements in the past 200 years, and yet, unfortunately, we're about to shoot ourselves in the foot because we're becoming enslaved to our own creation because it separated us from our true power, which is the way life works, which is represented in the earth and stars. So I'm not saying that we go back to the old way of living because there's too many of us on the planet right now.
Right.
But if you could incorporate shamanism in a new way, but with the old principles to serve the people now, we can find balance in a way that we can't otherwise. Also, I'm a preceptor for the University of Colorado School of Medicine, where I teach doctors about the shamanic interface between shamanism, medical intuitive, and allopathic medicine. So there's many, 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 many uses, very profound uses for shamanism if we can start to get it recognized, regulated. I hate to say regulated, but it needs to be. Everything needs to be. I know the doctors are hamstrung by regulations. We don't want to go that far, but there needs to be some accountability and some precedences set. And that's what I'm hoping to see for shamanism.
Let's talk about a dirty subject. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here.
Okay.
Because as soon as shamanism starts getting involved in the medical field, what do you think the pharmaceutical companies are going to do?
Well, I'm sure that they're highly against it. It's like the pharmaceutical companies are controlling the doctors. The insurance companies are controlling the doctors. And shamanism right now is kind of a free agent. All the drugs that have been developed originally from plants that the shaman were the ones that ascertained and passed down what they were good for.
Or the naturopaths, or what we call witches in the olden countries as well, so.
Exactly, same thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm referring to as magical people.
Right. So, but there is no magic,
that.
really. There is no magic, really.
No, there isn't.
It's
all a matter of managing the invisible, but that doesn't mean it's magic.
Exactly. Hey, listen, it's always great having you on the show, Gwilda. Let our listeners know how they can find out more about you, your courses. By the way, you are one heck of a great author, and where they can find out where they can buy your books.
Oh, thank you. The books are available everywhere where fine books are sold. I have 2 of them out, so we're still here now. What? Spiritual Evolution and Personal Empowerment in a New Era. And then my latest is The Science of Magic, Book of Mysteries, Volume 1. And you can get them on Amazon.com or, like I said, anywhere fine books are sold. My school's website is findyourpathhome.com. And you can find out all about the school and what we offer there. My personal website is gwildawiyaka.com. And, of course, my personal favorite is thescienceofmagic.net, which has archives of 107 programs.
107 programs, my gosh. Did you think when you first started that you and I would be talking 107 shows later, looking towards a brighter future than it already is?
No, unencumbered by any prior knowledge of broadcasting. I thought you were crazy wanting me to do it.
But I think that it was a very wise decision that we both made, because I know that you're making a big difference in a lot of lives in a positive way. So, Gwilda Wiyaka, thank you so much for joining us. And I look forward to the next time you and I meet here in the X Zone. Until then, take care of yourself, and we'll see you on the airwaves.
We'll see you on the airwaves.
All right, X Zone Nation, I'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't forget, you can check out Gwilda's radio show at thescienceofmagic.net and find out when she is on the X Zone Broadcast Network at xzbn.net. I'm Rob McConnell. Don't go away.